Hey guys, this is Mrs. Gregerson. We're working on lesson, chapter 11 actually is where we're starting on with this one. And it's all about circles. In this chapter, anything you can figure out about circles, segments, triangles, angles, degree measures, length, yep, going to happen. We're even going to graph and write equations of circles. So this first one, we're going to get some new terminology and some reminders from what we learned back in chapter 7. So we have the correct terminology, and then we're going to get a lot of definitions, but we're also going to be applying a lot of extra math. So a lot of what I'm going to do is going to be filling you in on some information. But first of all, I want you to remember the definition of a circle, okay? A circle is the set of all points in a plane that are equidistant from a given point, and that point's called the center. So when I have a circle, its center is the most important. And we call that one here, remember how the notation is, it's a circle with the center point. It's called circle C. And we talked about how things are going to be in the interior and the exterior of a circle, because that's really huge. Now, we can also talk about being on a circle. So you're going to have interior, exterior, and on the circle. Remember, a circle is made up of an infinite set of points that go around that single point. Now, we have what's called just the interior. I'm just filling in the information we already had. This is a little bit of review from the other day. And the exterior of a circle. So keep those in mind. Then we have the different parts, and these are huge. Memorize. Okay? You need to know these definitions so you can apply them later. So the first one is a chord. Okay? A chord is a segment whose endpoints lie on a circle. So a chord is really any segment whose endpoints are there. Now, you have the largest chord, okay, is going to be called a diameter, okay? The largest chord equals the diameter, because it will go right through the center, and that's going to be the farthest points away from each other on a circle. So a chord just is a segment whose endpoints lie on a circle. A radius is not, okay? A radius is not part. It could be part of a chord, but it is not a chord because it's endpoints. Because look where we have a radius. Let me see if I can show you right here. A radius, look where it's endpoint, on the center and on the circle. So therefore, it can't be a chord because both endpoints have to be on there. We also have what's called a secant. And now secants are really easy. Basically, a secant is you start with a chord and then you just keep on going forever. So it's the line that contains a chord. That's another way of putting it. A line that contains a chord. I don't know if this will show very well. I have a friend that says, you know, here's your chord, basically, and then your secant just keeps going. That's kind of how she expresses it. So using the thumbs and going out. We have what's called a tangent line, and we're actually going to focus on that. When you go out on a tangent, you go out one direction, sometimes away from a story or whatever. Well, a tangent line touches something at one spot, and then it keeps on going. So you notice how this tangent line has this one point called the point of tangency. Go figure, and we're going to fill that in. And that's going to be huge for this chapter, by the way. So know all these definitions. In fact, I think it's so important, I'm just going to highlight them. Make sure you know those, okay? So, and it goes on forever, away from the circle in two directions. So a tangent goes on, but only touches once. So it starts with that one little point in the story, and then it goes off another way. Tangent lines and secant lines we use a lot in calculus to help describe area and slopes of lines. So it's one of those kind of cool things that kind of all come together later. So now I want you just to see what you know for notation. So let's identify all the different parts. So for instance, what do we call line M? Now you can't call it line MH because that doesn't count, because you have to have two capital letters for it to represent points to be that one. So line M, what is that? Line M intersects the circle at one spot, so that's called a tangent. Okay, so that's our tangent. Line JM, so here's J, here's M, make those points big, okay. Line JM, and notice my notation, it has a chord in it but it keeps on going, so that's a secant, okay. We also have a chord that works there. We can say segment JM if you do line segment, or you can even say line segment KM are chords. Okay, so they're going to be chords. Now KM can be even more specific. Segment KM is a diameter. Okay, so segment KM can also be considered a diameter. Then we have also, how about, let's just keep going off on this weird, I'm going on a tangent, 1 point away, right? What do I call segment KL and segment LM? From here to here and here to here. The radii of the circle. All right, because there's more than one. Point H is called the point of tangency, because it's where it hits at one spot. And we have our 2 radii on there, but we also have JL. I guess I forgot segment JL. There is also a radius. So, and what's so special about all of those 3 segments? They're all going to be congruent to each other. So hopefully that gave us some different parts that we're supposed to be able to identify with those. So let's keep going to the other page, and we're going to talk about tangent lines.